I've been staring at new Hubble photos of 3IATLAS since last week, and I have to be honest with you, my brain is having a hard time processing what I'm seeing. It is absolutely 100% the most baffling thing I have ever looked at in my entire life. We are talking about an object that shouldn't exist, behaving in ways that physics, at least the physics we learned in high school, says is impossible, and it is right here in our backyard. It is not some theoretical equation on a chalkboard at MIT. It is a physical object, massive, moving at speeds that make our fastest rockets look like they are standing still, and it is heading right for the edge of the solar system after buzzing us. You have to understand the context here, because if you just look at the picture without knowing the backstory, it just looks like a smudge. But that smudge is arguably the most important thing human beings have ever captured on camera. This is the third time in history we have seen something come from outside our solar system. That is it, 3 times. You had Oumuamua back in 2017, which was weird enough. That long, cigar-shaped rock that tumbled end over end and accelerated when it shouldn't have. Then you had Borisov in 2019, which was basically a rogue comet, pretty standard stuff, just from a different neighborhood. But this thing, 3IATLAS, this is entirely different. This is in a category of its own. We first spotted this thing in July of this year, 2025. It was just a blip on the Atlas survey in Chile. And right away, the astronomers knew something was wrong. The speed was off. When things orbit the sun, they have a speed limit. They follow an ellipse. They come in, they go out, they come back in 70 years or 1,000 years. But this thing was moving at over 137,000 miles per hour when it was way out past Jupiter. That is hyperbolic velocity. That means the sun's gravity isn't strong enough to hold it. It is just passing through. It is a tourist. It came from another star, maybe hundreds of light years away, and it is never coming back. So we knew it was interstellar. That alone gives you chills, right? You are looking at a piece of matter that was forged in the fires of a completely different sun, maybe before our solar system even existed. That is the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night. But then, as it got closer, the weirdness started ramping up. And I mean, it went off the charts. The new Hubble images that dropped yesterday are what changed everything for me. We have been waiting for these because 3IATLAS went behind the sun from our perspective for a while. It was in the glare. We couldn't see it. We were blind. And that is the terrifying part. This thing buzzed the inner solar system, got heated up by the sun, and we didn't know if it was going to break apart or explode or what. Comets do that all the time. They get close to the sun, the heat is too intense, and they just disintegrate into a cloud of dust. But 3IATLAS didn't break. It survived. And now that it is coming out the other side, heading for its closest approach to Earth on December 19th, Hubble got a clear look at it. What Hubble saw is not a rock. It is not a simple snowball. It is a complex active structure that defies the simple, dirty snowball theory we have for comets. The first thing you notice in the high-res data is the anti-tail. Now, normally, a comet has a tail that points away from the sun. That is just solar wind pushing the gas and dust. It is like a windsock. But 3IATLAS has a spike of material pointing towards the sun. That is the anti-tail. It is a rare optical illusion sometimes. Sure, it happens when Earth passes through the orbital plane of the comet. But the geometry here is tricky. This anti-tail is persistent. It looks like a focused jet of material being ejected with serious force, not just drifting dust. And then you look at the rotation. This object is spinning. It has a rotation period of about 16 hours. That is fast for something this size, which we think is roughly a few kilometers wide. But it is not tumbling chaotically like Oumuamua did. It is stable. And that stability is keeping this jet, or whatever this structure is, pointed in a very specific way. But here's where it gets into the realm of what are we even looking at? The Japanese space agency, JAXA, pointed their X-RISM satellite at it. This is an X-ray telescope. Now, comets can emit X-rays. It happens. It is usually because the solar wind slams into the gas cloud around the comet. Electrons get swapped around, and you get a little X-ray glow. It is called charge exchange. But the data coming from X-RISM is showing an X-ray signature that is surprisingly intense and extends way further out than it should. We are talking about a glow that is 400,000 kilometers wide. That is bigger than the distance from the Earth to the Moon. This tiny rock has a glowing halo of high-energy radiation that is absolutely massive. Why? Why would a rock from another star be glowing in X-rays like that? One theory is that the gas coming off it is incredibly dense, way denser than our local comets. And that brings us to the chemistry. This is the part that blows my mind. The ALMA telescope in Chile, this is a radio telescope, it looks at the chemical fingerprints of gas, detected massive amounts of methanol and hydrogen cyanide. Now, cyanide sounds bad. it is poison for us. But in the universe, hydrogen cyanide is a building block. It is a precursor to amino acids. It is the Lego brick of life. And methanol is a simple alcohol, also carbon-based. We have never seen an interstellar object pumping out this much methanol. It is effectively spraying the solar system with the ingredients for life. You start putting these pieces together, the stable rotation, the massive X-ray halo, the specific chemical injection, the high-speed survival of the solar pass, and you have to ask the question, is this natural? I know, the mainstream astronomers are very careful. They say, it is consistent with a metal-rich comet, and that is a safe bet. It probably is a natural object, but the probably is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Avi Loeb from Harvard is losing his mind over this, and I don't blame him. He has been saying for years that we are too closed-minded about what we are seeing. He looks at 3IATLAS and he sees anomalies. He sees things that don't fit the standard model. He is pointing out that this anti-tail flipped orientation in a way that is hard to explain just by perspective. He is asking why the non-gravitational acceleration, that is the push the comet gets from releasing gas, is so perfectly smooth. Usually jets on comets are messy. They sputter. They turn on and off. This thing seems to have a continuous, smooth thrust. If you were going to design a probe to scan a solar system, what would you do? You would send it on a hyperbolic trajectory so it doesn't get stuck. You would give it a heat shield to survive the close pass to the star, because that is where the energy is. You might use the host star's gravity to sling yourself to the next target, and you might vent gas to correct your course. I am not saying it is aliens. I am really not. But I am saying that if it were a probe, it would look a hell of a lot like 3IATLAS. And that is the problem with our perspective. We are like ants on a sidewalk. If a human walks by, the ant doesn't know it is a human. It just senses a disturbance in the air pressure, maybe a shadow. We are looking at the universe with these tiny little eyes. Even Hubble is a tiny eye in the grand scheme of things, and we are trying to interpret technologies or phenomena that might be 1 billion years older than us. Think about the timescales. The universe is 14 billion years old. Earth is 4.5. That means there were billions of years where life could have evolved, risen to a level of technology we can't even dream of, and sent out billions of these probes before Earth even cooled down from being a ball of lava. If they sent out 1 million probes and one of them passes through our system every 1,000,000 years, this is what it would look like. It would look like a rock. It would be cold. It would be silent. It wouldn't be broadcasting radio waves in English. It would just be watching or sampling or just drifting. The scariest thought isn't that it is a spaceship. The scariest thought is that it is just a rock, but it is carrying something. That methanol and cyanide discovery, that is huge. That is verified. We know those chemicals are there. So this object is basically a crop duster. It is traveling between stars, dropping the seeds of biology into young planetary systems. Maybe that is how life started here, maybe 4 billion years ago. An object just like 3IATLAS slammed into the early Earth or passed close enough to dump a load of organic material into our oceans. We might be the descendants of some interstellar trash that got dropped off by a visitor. We are all looking at December 19th now. That is the closest approach to Earth. It is going to be about 170 million miles away. That is far. You can't see it with your eyes. You need a big telescope. But that is close enough for us to get the best data we are ever going to get. The Hubble, the Webb, the ground-based observatories, everyone is going to be pointing at it. We are trying to see the nucleus. That is the Holy Grail. We want to see the solid rock in the middle of that gas cloud. If the nucleus is weird, if it is too shiny or the wrong shape, or if it has surface features that look artificial, that is when the panic starts. But right now, the nucleus is hidden. It is shrouded in this thick coma of gas. That is what the Japanese X-ray data is telling us. The gas is thick. It is a protective shell. I keep going back to the idea of the dark forest. You know that theory? The idea that the universe is full of civilizations, but everyone is hiding because there are predators out there. If you make noise, you get wiped out. So everyone stays quiet. And maybe, just maybe, you send out these silent, cold, rock-like probes to see who is stupid enough to be broadcasting I Love Lucy into the void. And here we are, loud as hell, blasting our radio waves, sending out Voyager with a map to our house on it, and then 3IATLAS shows up, it checks us out, it swings by Mars, NASA had the rovers looking at it, did you see that? Perseverance took a picture of it, a robot on Mars took a picture of a visitor from another star. That is the most sci-fi sentence I have ever said, and it is real life. But back to the Hubble structure. The new processing they did on these images shows layers. It is not just a blob. there are shells of gas. That implies that the outgassing is pulsing. It is happening in waves. Maybe as the object rotates, a specific active spot hits the sunlight, heats up, and boom, a jet of gas shoots out. Then it rotates into shadow, cools down, and stops. Then it comes back around. That creates a spiral of material like a lawn sprinkler. When you look at that spiral from Earth, if the angle is right, it looks like shells or wings. This structure is what convinced the scientists that it is definitely a comet and not an asteroid. Asteroids are dead, they don't breathe gas. Comets are alive, geologically speaking. They change, they evolve. 3IATLAS is changing rapidly. It is shedding its skin. And because it is made of interstellar stuff, the way it sheds is different. The ice on this thing isn't just water ice. It is nitrogen ice, carbon monoxide ice, exotic ices that freeze at insanely low temperatures. That is why it started active so far out. It didn't need to be near the sun to start boiling. It started boiling when it was still in the deep freeze of the outer solar system. That tells us about where it was born. It must have formed in the outer fringes of some other solar system, way out in the dark where it is super cold. And then something kicked it out. Maybe a giant planet in that system, a super Jupiter, migrated inward and disrupted the gravity, flinging trillions of these comets out into the galaxy. 3IATLAS has been drifting in the void, alone, for billions of years. Billions. Imagine that silence. And then, by pure chance, it falls into the gravity well of our sun. The odds of that are astronomical. Space is empty. It is mostly nothing. For this thing to hit the bullseye of our solar system is like shooting a bullet from New York and hitting a mosquito in Tokyo. It implies that space is full of these things. If we saw one, there must be quadrillions of them out there. We are swimming in a sea of interstellar debris, and we just recently got the glasses to see them. There's a humbling aspect to this. We think we own the place. We think the solar system is our domain, but we are just living in a house with the windows open, and things are flying in and out all the time. We just didn't notice. Now that we have Atlas and Pan-STARRS and these survey telescopes that scan the whole sky every night, we are going to see more of them. This is number 3. Number 4 will be here soon. Number 5, eventually we are going to find one that is on a collision course. That is the dark side of this. If 3IATLAS was heading for Earth, we couldn't stop it. It is too fast. We would have had 6 months warning. That is it. But for now, it is a scientific goldmine. The fact that it is glowing in X-rays, the fact that it is loaded with prebiotic molecules, the fact that it survived the sun, it is rewriting the textbooks. And I love that. I love when the textbooks get rewritten. It means we were wrong, or at least incomplete. It means there is mystery left. I was reading about the solar-wind interaction. The scientists think the X-rays are from the solar wind protons stealing electrons from the comet's gas. It is a violent process at the atomic level. It creates this high-energy footprint, but to see it so clearly on an object this small is what is shocking. It suggests the comet has a magnetic field, or something conductive is interacting there. If it has a magnetic field, that is wild. Comets aren't supposed to be magnetic. They are piles of rubble. A magnetic field implies a molten core or some kind of metallic structure. Again, I'm not saying spaceship, but a metal-rich magnetic object flying between stars is anomalous. That is the word, anomalous. And Joe, the regular guy, not the scientist, looks at this and goes, what if? What if the reason it is so weird is because it is designed to be weird? What if the methanol is waste product from a propulsion system? What if the X-rays are leakage from a reactor? I know, Occam's razor says the simplest explanation is usually the right one. It is a rock. But Occam's razor is a human rule. The universe doesn't care about our razors. The universe is complex and messy and weird. We have about a week left of peak viewing. After December 19th, it starts heading out fast. It will fade. By February, it will be gone from amateur telescopes. By next summer, only James Webb will be able to see it. And then it returns to the dark. It is a brief encounter. We have this tiny window to learn everything we can. I really hope they turn every single radio telescope we have at it. Listen to it, not just look at it. Listen on every frequency. If there is even a billionth of a chance that there is a signal coming off that thing, we need to catch it, because if we miss it, it is gone forever. It is not turning around. The structure Hubble revealed, that layered spiraling cloud, is beautiful. It is like a flower opening up in the vacuum. Even if it is just dust and gas, it is beautiful chaos. It is a reminder that nature is the best artist, but it is also a reminder of the violence of space. That gas is being ripped off the surface. The comet is dying in a way. It is spending its substance to fly through our system. It is losing mass every second. It is sacrificing itself to the sun. I want to know what the surface looks like. Is it cratered? Is it smooth? Is it black as coal? We think it is dark. Most comets are darker than asphalt. They reflect almost no light. That is why they are so hard to find until they start glowing. 3IATLAS is a stealth object. It was invisible until it decided to light up. So here is where I am at. I am sitting here looking at this grainy image of a spiral ghost, and I am feeling very small, and that is a good feeling. It is a healthy feeling. It keeps the ego in check. We are just monkeys on a wet rock watching the giants walk by. And this giant 3-eye atlas has a story to tell that is older than our species. We are just trying to read the first page before the book closes. If you have a telescope, even a decent backyard one, you might not see the structure, but you can see the dot, you can see the visitor, and you should, because you are looking at something that will never be here again. It is a once-in-a-universe event for us, and who knows? Maybe it is looking back, probably not, but maybe. And that maybe is what makes science the most exciting game in town. I'm going to keep tracking this every day. Every time a new data packet comes down from NASA or ESA, I'm diving in, because this is the real news. The political stuff, the culture wars, that is all noise. This is the signal. This is the reality of where we live. We live in a busy galaxy, and the neighbors are finally showing up. Let's just hope they are friendly, or at least indifferent, because if 3-eye atlas is just a piece of debris, it is fascinating. If it is anything else, well then the whole game changes. But for now, it is the most interesting rock in the universe, and I can't look away. It is amazing to think about the journey this object has been on. We talk about interstellar like it is just a word, but the distances are incomprehensible. The nearest star is 4 light years away. Voyager, the fastest thing we ever built, would take 70,000 years to get there. 3-eye atlas has been traveling for likely millions of years between stars. It has passed through the Oort clouds of other systems. It has been bombarded by cosmic rays in the deepest voids. It has seen things no human eye will ever see, and it brings all that history with it. The isotopes in that ice, the specific flavors of carbon and oxygen, are a snapshot of a different part of the galaxy. It is like a time capsule. By analyzing that gas, we are effectively sampling a star system we can never reach. We are doing galactic archaeology. The fact that it is rich in carbon is also super interesting. Carbon is the key. Life is carbon-based. If the galaxy is full of carbon-rich comets, then the galaxy is primed for life. It means the ingredients aren't rare. They are everywhere. They are being delivered by FedEx trucks like 3IATLAS to every planet with enough gravity to catch them. It makes the rare Earth hypothesis seem a lot less likely. If the soup is being served everywhere, surely someone else is eating it. I wonder what the people running the simulation are thinking right now. Oh, they spotted the probe. Let's see what they do. It feels like a test of our observation, our interpretation, and our imagination. Are we smart enough to figure out what this is? Or are we just going to label it Comet C 2025 and file it away? The scientific papers that are going to come out of this in the next 6 months are going to be dense. I am going to try to read them all. I want to understand the spin dynamics. I want to understand the thermal inertia. That is how fast it heats up and cools down. If it heats up slowly, it might be solid metal. If it heats up fast, it is fluffy dust. These are the clues. We are Sherlock Holmes, and the comet is the crime scene. And Hubble, man, Hubble is the MVP. That telescope is 35 years old. It is ancient tech, but it is still the king. It is above the atmosphere, so it doesn't have the blur. It can see the ultraviolet light that gets blocked by our air. And that UV data is crucial. That is where you see the specific glow of hydrogen and OH molecules. It is the breath of the comet. Hubble is watching it breathe. I just hope we don't screw this up. I hope we don't miss something obvious because we are too dogmatic. It can't be X, so it must be Y. That is dangerous thinking. We have to be open to Z. We have to be open to the idea that we don't know what we don't know. So, keep your eyes on the news, not the mainstream cable news. They won't cover this right. They will give it 30 seconds. Go to the astronomy blogs, go to the NASA releases, read the actual papers. That is where the truth is, and the truth is something wonderful is flying past Earth right now, and we are lucky to be awake to see it. This whole situation reminds me of that feeling you get when you are deep in the woods and you hear a twig snap. You freeze. Your senses heighten. You know something is there. You don't know if it is a deer or a bear or just the wind, but you are alert. Humanity is in that moment right now. 3-eye atlas is the twig snapping. We are staring into the dark, trying to make out the shape. And for a brief second, Hubble lit a flare, and we saw something. Now we have to figure out what it was. And that is the ride. That is the trip. And I am strapped in. Let's see where this goes. The sheer velocity of the thing is what really gets me stuck in a loop. 150,000 miles an hour at perihelion. That is fast enough to get from New York to London in about 2 minutes. Think about the kinetic energy involved there. If this thing hit the moon, the explosion would be visible from Earth during the day. It would create a crater the size of a state. It is a bullet, a cosmic bullet, And the fact that we can track it with such precision, that we can predict its position down to a few kilometers, is a testament to how good our math is. Newton was right. Einstein was right. The math works. But the physical nature of the object, that is where the math meets the mystery. We can predict where it goes, but we can't predict what it is. Is it a monolithic rock? Is it a pile of gravel held together by weak gravity? Is it a hollow shell? We don't know. We assume it is a rubble pile because that is what most comets are. But interstellar objects might be different. They have survived the ejection process. They have been hardened. Maybe only the solid, monolithic ones survive the trip. Maybe the rubble piles break apart in interstellar space, so we might be looking at a solid diamond or a solid chunk of iron. If it is iron and it is passing through the sun's magnetic field, that could explain the X-rays too. Induction heating. It is basically a giant dynamo. We are getting into plasma physics now, which is way above my pay grade, but the concepts are fascinating. The universe is an electric place. It is not just gravity. There are currents, fields, charged particles. 3IATLAS is interacting with all of that. I really wish we had a probe ready to go. ESA has the Comet Interceptor mission, but it wasn't ready for this. It is sitting on the ground. We need a rapid response fleet. We need a rocket sitting on the pad, fueled up, ready to launch the moment we spot one of these. Go, 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 chase it down. We could have flown alongside it. We could have landed on it. Can you imagine landing on an interstellar object? Drills, cameras, microscopes. We could have touched the stars without leaving the solar system. That is the missed opportunity here. We caught it too late. July was too late. We needed to see it 2 years ago. But it is so small and dark, we couldn't. It is a stealth bomber. By the time you see it on radar, it is already dropping the payload. In this case, the payload is knowledge. But still, we need better eyes. We need the Rogan Observatory. That is coming online soon. It will scan the whole sky every 3 nights. It will find these things sooner. Next time, maybe we will be ready. Until then, we have the photos. We have the spectra. We have the questions. And questions are good. Questions drive us forward. If we knew everything, we would be bored. 3IATLAS ensures we are not bored. It is a puzzle box from the gods, and we are just starting to jiggle the handle. I'm looking at the forums online, the astronomy subreddits, and people are going nuts. The amateurs are stacking their images, trying to bring out the detail in the tale. It is a community effort. It is citizen science, and that is cool. It is not just the high priests in the ivory towers. It is guys in their backyards with celestrons contributing to the data pool. That is how science should be. Democratized, open, everyone wants to know, is it aliens? And the scientists say no. And the conspiracy theorists say yes. And the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Not that it is aliens, but that it is something so strange it might as well be. Nature is stranger than fiction. We can imagine aliens, we can draw them, but we couldn't imagine a pulsar until we found one. We couldn't imagine a black hole until the math showed it. 3IATLAS is showing us a new category of weird, and we should respect that. So, December 19th. Mark your calendars, not that you will see anything, but just to know. At that moment, humanity is closest to the unknown. Take a second to look up, wiggle your antennas, see if you can feel the vibe, because the universe is passing by, and it is waving hello.